So yesterday, we talked about one image. We have gone through this image yesterday, and we learned how the traditional, data centers were used to be, and then how the evolution happens to the virtualization, and from virtualization to the cloud. So today we are going to, directly log into the cloud system first, and then okay, so yesterday we talked about the Azure and how Microsoft is basically taking care of the data center and what are the components they are taking care, right? And at the last, part of the yesterday class, we talked about to create one free account in Azure. So did anybody created any free account in Azure portal?
Yeah, I have created.
Okay, Niranjan, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I have created yesterday.
Okay, okay, super. So, guys, do you feel any issues on that, or it was like a simple and straightforward process?
No, I didn't face any hurdle. So it was a simple, only just kind of like a register. That's it.
Yes,
And next.
it's kind of you simply need to provide basic information, and
Yes,
you'll be
that's
able to get inside your portal. So, guys, I have already exhausted my free account. Okay, so that is why once your free account will get exhausted, and it is valid for 1 month from the day of the creation. Then Microsoft will automatically switch it to you pay as you go subscription model. So subscription is actually a logical unit which Microsoft used to do the billing. So for example, in your organization, let's say if you have three different departments or multiple departments, and you would like to set up one subscription for them so that their billing can be segregated, then you need to use the subscription method. Okay, so subscription is simply a logical unit. Inside this subscription, we deploy our resources. Okay, so this is the portal, and of course, we are going to create some resources. But before that, let's go and draw a drawing and then understand how it is going to be. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a diagram and make you understand first, and then we'll come back to the portal and we'll implement it. Okay, so let's say we are in our, so that's our, for example, Azure data center or Microsoft data center, whatever we can call it. Okay, let me label it. Right. So inside this, whenever we are inside the Azure, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to create the resources. So resources are basically a cloud technology terminology, right? A cloud terminology where we are calling it virtual machine, CPU. Everything is basically a resource inside Azure, and the correct terminology is the resource, right? So let's say how it is actually happening. So in Azure, okay, first thing, let's say this is the data center, Microsoft data center. Okay, in the Microsoft data center, we have the resources like this, and for example, we have CPU, and if I say, for example, we have 1024 CPU. Okay, it's the command. Then we have RAM, and we can say like, for example, 4 terabyte of RAM. Okay, and then we have storage. Okay, and inside that storage, let's say we have 100 terabyte of storage. Okay, so these are the physical hardware devices, simply, right? We have physical CPUs, we have physical RAM, we have physical storage as well, right? So I'm not talking about as of now anything virtual. These are the physical boxes, physical devices which is installed and configured inside the Azure data set, right? In one availability zone, if you remember. Okay. Now, let's say if I have to create a virtual machine. I am trying to create a virtual machine. I'm just calling it a okay. So to create a virtual machine, what are the major or critical resources we need? Can you tell? The first thing we are gonna need is CPU, right? Second, we're gonna need is RAM. Third, we going to need is disk, right? And then we need IP address, NIC, and plus IP address. Okay. Also, we need operating system, right? And if the disk we have OS disk, and it is not mandatory, okay? So this OS disk, sorry, this OS disk is not mandatory, but we can say data disk. Okay, I'll explain all of it. Okay, so and on top of it, I need to decide in which data center I am going to deploy my virtual machine. I mean, I need to tell Microsoft, like, okay, in this availability zone, I'm going to deploy my virtual machine. So if you look at this, so these are the major and the critical components, or I would say mandatory components, if you would like to create a virtual machine. So the concept of cloud here is that we are basically creating the resources on hourly basis, which means whenever you are going to create anything, it could be virtual machine, any resource you are going to create in the cloud, Microsoft is going to charge you for an hour. Whatever the fees is for that particular resource, Microsoft is going to give you that resource for on a chargeable basis. And that charge is going to be calculated on every hour, right? So let's say if I have to create a virtual machine, then how this virtual machine will get deployed? Okay, we need to understand that. So in order to create a virtual machine, first thing we need availability zone, right? Availability zone is simply the option where I am going to tell Microsoft Azure, like, okay, I need my virtual machine into this particular region. And when I say region, I'm again talking about the availability zone. So if you guys have remembered since yesterday, let me open that. Okay. So if you remember, like we talked about this particular image yesterday. Okay. So this particular availability zone is one data center. This is another, and this is the third one, and inside this region. So whenever I'm going to deploy any resource, doesn't matter what resource, you need to tell in which region. First, you need to tell in which region I am going to deploy my resources. If the option is giving you, or Microsoft is giving you the option to choose the availability zone, then you have to tell the availability zone. If option is not to choose the availability zone, okay, if Microsoft is not giving you the to choose the availability zone, then Microsoft will decide in which availability zone he is going to put your resources. So this is what we need to always remember. Okay, now if coming back to this. So first criteria is I need to tell in which region. For example, if I would like to deploy my VM in India region, or if I would like to deploy my VM in Australia region or in Europe region, I need to first decide. Okay, then if I'm getting the option to decide in which availability zone my resource should go, then I should use that. Else, I'll keep it blank or none. We'll see that part. Okay. After that, we need to focus on the CPU and the RAM. How much CPU I want for my VM and how much RAM I want for my VM. Okay. So when I say how much CPU and how much RAM, because CPU and RAM are the mandatory or one of the critical aspect or one of the critical component for any virtual machine, no matter which, not for just the virtual machine, for physical machine as well. So we are going to decide like, okay, what number of CPU I need and what number of RAM I need. Okay. Here, there in this section, there is a catch. So Microsoft says, I am not going to choose you like, okay, I need 5 CPU and I need 1 terabyte of RAM. This is not how it is going to work. Microsoft says, I am going to give you the option to choose the size, where Microsoft is basically combined the CPU and the RAM, which means Microsoft has already built the package. Like, okay, if you are going to take 2 CPU, then you will get 4 GB of RAM. Or if you are going to need 4 CPU, then you are going to get 16 GB of RAM. So there are multiple packages which Microsoft is already combined for us, and we need to choose out of them. So there is nothing like I need to manually choose. Like I cannot get like 6 CPU and 2 GB of RAM. It is not how going to work. Microsoft says based on the usage, Microsoft has given the long list of CPU and RAM, combination of CPU and RAM. We need to choose out of from that, and that combination is called SKU or size, right? Okay. Now, so if I say SKU or size, then I can call it this is right. So this particular section is called SKU or size. So this combination of CPU and RAM is basically called SKU or size in cloud terminology. Okay. After choosing all this, okay, I need to decide which operating system I need to install here. It could be Linux, it could be Windows, or it could be Macintosh OS as well, right? But Microsoft is not going to support all of the operating systems. We need to simply let the Microsoft know. Microsoft is going to give us the list of whatever the supported operating system they have. So if Microsoft is going to give the list, like, okay, these are the list of operating system I'm supporting. So for example, even in the Windows, Microsoft is not supporting Windows 2008 because this is the old version of the Windows. Microsoft is not supporting the Linux version 6 because this is one of the old version. So Microsoft keep updating the list of operating system as well. So from the list, I'm going to choose like, okay, this is the operating system I need. So that is also one thing. After that, I need to choose, okay, if I'm going to install the Windows or if I'm going to install the Linux operating system, then how much disk I'm going to need. So for by default, Microsoft will give you some certain storage disk, and later once you are not, let's say Microsoft is giving you 127 GB of disk for OS, and later in future, if your requirement is going to be increased, you can increase the size of that disk. So the space is something you can add it later as well. But yes, I don't think Microsoft is going to give you the whatever the default size Microsoft is going to give you for the operating system. You have to keep it first, and then later you can increase it, but you cannot decrease. Okay. Another thing, OS disk is for installing the operating system. Also, you can keep your data here as well. Other than that OS disk, Microsoft is also giving you the option which is called data disk. So just understand in a simple term, OS disk is your C drive. If you have your laptop with you, and if you go into your laptop, then most of us in the laptop you will find that there is a C drive inside this PC and Windows. There is a C drive, and then there is a D drive or maybe E drive or F drive. It all depends on the different laptops. So C drive is basically a drive or a part of the disk where operating system is going to be installed. There are certain section or there are certain folders where you should not go because operating system is installed there. Again, let's understand in terms of mobile as well. If you buy a mobile and the mobile vendor or the mobile manufacturer is promising you, for example, Apple or Samsung or Vivo, if they are promising you like, okay, I'm going to give you 128 GB of storage, 128 GB of storage. So when you will actually go inside that, you will see it's not complete 128 GB of this storage, because there are certain amount of or certain part of the out of that 128 GB which is simply used and consumed by the operating system, which means if you have an Apple or Android, if you can simply go to the settings and see the status, you will always get somewhere around 115 GB available or 110 GB available, because 10 or somewhere around 5 to 10 GB of the storage is basically reserved and used by the operating system. So that's the same concept which is also going to imply here. Whenever we are creating any virtual machine, that storage is going to be used, some storage is going to be used by the operating system itself. Yes. Other than that, if you would like or if you are in need to store more data in your data, then you can add multiple data disks. That disk is called data disk. However, adding of this data disk is not mandatory, but adding of the OS disk is mandatory for the creation of the virtual machine. Now coming back to the last section, which is NIC or IP address. So NIC stands for Network Interface Card. Network interface card, whenever I say network interface card, is basically a component in any virtual machine. So let's say if in your laptop also, when you have a laptop, you must have seen there is a RJ45 connector in your laptop. Or if you have a latest laptop, then you must have seen there is a Wi-Fi in which is there in the laptop. What is that Wi-Fi? So Wi-Fi is a device which is installed on your laptop already as a hardware component. So Wi-Fi is nothing, it's a hardware component or hardware device which basically helps your computer to connect with other devices. It same goes with your mobile devices as well, with your tab as well, and with your virtual machine as well. So whatever we are going to install or whatever we are going to use, right? That NIC card or Wi-Fi card. NIC card is also NIC card has two different forms. One is the physical form, which is present directly in your laptop. So if you have seen some older laptops, you must have seen there are some network cables which used to be plugged inside the laptop. But nowadays, all the laptops are basically coming with the Wi-Fi routers. I mean, Wi-Fi enabled, so that a Wi-Fi hardware device is basically installed inside your laptop itself. You won't see that because the nature of that Wi-Fi card is basically to connect without wire. The same goes with the NIC card here as well. So every kind of virtual machine, we need a NIC card. So NIC card is basically a component or a part of any device, no matter which device. Any device which is going to connect with any other device in the world, that device must have a NIC card or Wi-Fi card. It is your mobile, even your ATM, even your this POS machine, any device which is connecting and communicating with any other device, that device must have a, an IC or NIC card. Okay. So somebody has raised, sorry, hello. Okay, Kashif, you're saying something?
Yes, actually, I'm asking about the SKU size. What type of SKU we have, which condition, which SKU we have to use.
Okay, we'll see that.
Yeah.
Once we will go to the portal, I'll show you that. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely, we'll come to that SKU part. We will cover all of these. Okay, right now I'm just trying to explain first so that we will get an idea that this is how the structure is, and then of course we'll implement everything and we'll see everything. Okay, so NIC card is important. Okay, one thing we need to remember in terms of the digital, no matter it is cloud or on-premise or virtualization, no matter what kind of digital, we need to understand one thing. Every device must need a unique address. So for example, as of now, if I'm just clicking on OK and let me open a new page, because that point is pretty important to understand for upcoming lectures. So for example, I am just drawing this, right? Then I'm just going to use VM or let's say machine one. Okay, forget about VM as of now. So that's machine one. That's this, or that's this. You have your laptop, then you have laptop two, then we have printer. For example, let's assume it as a scanner. So for example, let's say you are working in a small organization or a small company, for example, a shop. Okay, there they have two laptops, one printer and one scanner, right? So somebody from the networking has come and they basically connected these devices by using a hub. So hub is basically a network device. Hub is basically a networking device which connects. So for example, I'm connecting laptop one with my hub, laptop two with my hub, printer with my hub, and scanner, right? So what happens? This hub is responsible to sending data from one device to another device. So for example, if laptop one wants to connect with laptop two, then it will send the connect with hub and hub will send that data. Laptop two wants to print something, then it will go to hub and from hub it will go to print. Laptop one would like to scan something, then it will go to hub and from hub it will go to the scanner. So hub is basically a networking device. Hub, or you can also call it switch. In advanced language, we can call it switch as well. So as of now, let's not focus on the detail of this hub and switch. So just understand this hub is a device, networking device, which helps multiple devices to connect with each other. Okay. So let's say if laptop one would like to send laptop. Now in future, tomorrow, we created a new laptop or we bought a new laptop. And by mistake, I also keep this laptop's name as laptop 2, right? Because name is something I can keep it. So what will happen here? If laptop 1, and I connected this laptop with my hub also. So now if laptop 1 would like to send any data or would like to communicate with laptop, how it is going to communicate? To this laptop or to this laptop? Because their names are pretty much similar. So what is how laptop one going to understand? Okay, I need to send to data or I need to connect with this laptop two or this laptop. That is a challenge. Is it clear, guys? Is it a challenge? Anybody can answer? Like how? Is it a challenge or not?
I
Yes,
IP
miss.
address.
Challenge.
Okay. So in order to fix now, imagine this is just a setup of one small shop or even your home, right? Now imagine when we have thousands of virtual machines or thousands of laptop or thousands of servers working together, and how all those thousands of servers are going to communicate with each other uniquely. So we need a mechanism, we need a method so that every laptop must have a unique address. So that address is called IP address. That address is called IP address. So IP address is a unique address for every machine. So there is a unique IP address for laptop. There is a unique IP address for laptop 2. There is a unique IP address for this laptop 2 as well. There is a unique IP address for printer, scanner, or even if you are keep adding multiple devices inside this hub, every device is going to have its own unique IP address. And that is how we are basically deal with this situation. So that every device, every virtual machine, every server, every machine in this world, again, I'm telling you, this guy understand this point very critically. Everything in in this world, every device in this world, okay, if they would like to communicate with each other, they must have some unique address to identify each other. And that is how they are going to talk with each other. So this is how it happens. So even if you go, just try to understand in a society structure. So in a society, let's say if you have four different towers, and in every tower you have flat number one till flat number 40. So if in every tower is there is a flat number one and there is a flat number two and there is a flat number three and sorry, tower one, tower two, tower three, and tower four, or tower A, B, C, D. And in all those A, B, C, D towers, we have flat number one till 40. Then again, how to uniquely identify a single flat? In that case, we are basically going to use the option of tower A. There is a flat number one of tower A, flat number four of tower B, flat number eight of tower C, something like that. So you must need to come up with some solution where you need to simply provide a unique address mechanism for every device. And here we are using the concept of IP address. Now, this IP address is basically, no matter this is IP address, right? Now, this you can, where you can assign this IP address. So you need a component in your machine, and that component is called NIC. So in every machine, no matter, and this NIC card could be physical or could be Wi-Fi. So again, don't get confused. Even if your mobile has a NIC card, so if you can see, if you go to your mobile and if you would like to go to network settings, you will see there is an IP address assigned to your mobile device. So that IP address basically assigned on one component which is called NIC card. So this NIC card, and let's say there is again I am saying I have a NIC card here as well. Okay, now there is one more thing which I need to explain to you, and then we'll again go back to our structure here also. For example, as of now, I'm only treating, although these also have the name cards. Okay. So now let me tell you, if laptop one wants to connect to laptop two, then how the communication is. Is communication happening between laptop one and laptop two, or is communication happening between NIC, this NIC card or this NIC card? Anybody? How is the actual communication happening? Laptop to laptop or NIC to NIC?
Nick to Nick.
Yes. So that is why we need to understand no matter which device you are having, because if this NIC card is not there, okay, then your laptop obviously is not going to. You can absolutely work on the single standalone laptop, which is fine. But in order to communicate with any other device, whether, and again, this NIC could be Wi-Fi, this NIC could be physical. There is no challenge, there is no concern on that. But remember, every device in this world which is connecting to the internet, which is connecting to another device, they must have NIC card. Okay. Now coming back to our previous diagram, I hope I explained the NIC and IP address concept. Is it clear, guys? And what is IP address? I hope you understand it's a unique address for the every device. And how to write that, you also know that, right? Or do I also need to tell how to write, I mean, what is IP address? I hope, are we familiar with the IP address? Guys, anybody? Am I audible? Are we familiar with the IP address? Okay, that's strange. Okay, so IP address is, okay, just let me quickly tell you about IP address and then we'll proceed with the next. Okay, so IP address is basically uniquely defined IP address. In, so for example, 10.0.0.1. So there are four octets in the IP address, and it's a unique presentation of numbers, which basically denoted 10.0.0.1. Okay, so this is the format of the IP address. So it's basically unique address to define. So when we come to the conclusion, like okay, in the network, every device need a unique address. Then we also need to come up with what kind of address we are talking about, what address we can provide them so that they can talk to each other. So we all know, like computers understand the this Boolean and ASCII value, right? So in order, and binary values as well. So basically, we have converted those values into a human readable form, and that we call a IP address. So I would suggest everyone, if you are not very much familiar, because this is pretty much very basic. So I would suggest everyone to IP address definition explanation. So just try to read something. You can read any article. Okay, what is an IP address? So it will help you. It's very self-explanatory, thing. You do not have to read apply a lot of complex understanding here. It's quite a self-understanding definition. So I'm just pasting the link here. Please, after the class, if you do not have the clarity on the IP address, I would suggest you or encourage everyone to please have a clarity on that. It is going to help us a lot. Okay. So coming back to this. So what is IP address? I told you, but how to write the IP address is something you can figure it out by yourself. So use your Google and it will help you. Even you can find some YouTube channels where they have pretty much in a very basic format they have explained how to read and what is. Okay. And still, if you think like you need some sort of more explanation, then in future classes I will I'll cover this. Okay. So coming back to my previous diagram again. So all these components I have explained to you. Now let's go. Okay, one more thing. The moment I'm deciding all this, I'm filling the form for the virtual machine. Okay, and then I'm going to hit on submit. What happened? The moment I'm going to do the submit, Microsoft will start preparing the virtual machine for me. It will automatically install the operating system. It will automatically create the NIC card. Everything it will automatically create, right? Only thing I need to fill a form and I need to hit on submit. Once I'll hit the submit, then what will happen? Whatever the unit I have asked, Microsoft will basically take out of the unit. For example, I went for the CPU and RAM, which says 4 GB and 4 CPU and 16 GB of RAM. Then that 4 CPU from here and 16 GB of RAM from here will be allocated to this particular virtual machine. And let's say I have asked for the 100 GB of data disk or 100 GB of disk, then that disk space is going allocated to my machine. So in this way, it is simply going to deduct all this and whatever the charges is going, because we are and these are all resources. So whatever resources are being assigned to your virtual machine, you will be charged accordingly. So let's go to the Azure portal and see how we can create a virtual machine. Okay, so we are in our Azure portal. Okay, there is one more thing we need to talk about. I just forgot, which is the resource group. Okay, so in Azure, it's a very simple concept. Let me tell you before we go to the portal. So resource group, what is resource group? So right now we have only talked about one virtual machine. So let's say tomorrow, if you have a requirement where you are going to deploy multiple virtual machines. So there is a concept called resource group. So resource group says, okay, if you remember our yesterday diagram, if I go back here. So here we deployed one application and then we deployed another application. So in order to deploy the multiple application, what I can create, I can simply create, for example, a resource group. So in one resource group, I am going to keep everything which is related. So for example, I'm calling it a resource group. And it means is resource group means it's a name of the resource, it's a group of the resources. So for example, this is the resource group of my app one. I'm keeping it here. Then for app one, I think I am going to require two virtual machines. I am only keeping it all these two virtual machines in this resource group. So VM1, for example, and I'm giving VM2. So all these two virtual machines are basically belong to my app one only. Then let's say I'm going to require disk and sorry, disk one. I also need disk two, right? Then I also need another set of device, which let's say I need this. So other than the virtual machine, other than the disk, let's say I would like to host a storage account. Now, a storage account is, as of now, it's a different concept, but we'll talk about that later. So the point basically which I'm trying to make you understand here, the concept of the resource group is nothing. It's just like a folder. So let's say if in your organization, for example, if you have multiple departments, you have HR, you have sales, you have account, you have finance, and you think you should basically create one resource group for one particular department. Or let's say if you're deploying multiple applications, so you would like to create a resource group or a folder where for that particular application you keep all your resources in that resource group itself. So that is how the Microsoft Azure keeps the stack of the resources. So resource group is primary thing which we need to simply see. It's just like a folder, nothing else. There is no specific requirement we need to use. So click on the resource group first and let's create a resource group. So for example, I am calling it my app one resource group. Okay. Now again, see, this is the region, right? So if you go to the region, it is giving you these are many regions. So these regions, what are these regions? Can anybody tell me what are these regions? Anybody can explain me what are these regions?
Data center.
Yes, the regions again going back to my this one, this region. So region is a geographical area or geographical location, and inside that we have different data centers, and we are calling it availability zones. So first we need to choose, okay, I am going to deploy my resources in which region. So for example, if I am setting, so these are the and this keeps increasing or this keeps changing because if Microsoft is keep adding new regions every year or every quarter, then you will get to see a lot of addition here. So initially, I would say like maybe 3 or 4 years before, in India, we only have South India as a region. But now we have West India as well, and we have Central India as well. You will type India, you will see Central India, South India, and West India. Let's say if I type Japan, you can see Japan East and Japan West. Let's say if I type US. So in US, most of the regions, East US, East US 2, South Central US, West US. So these are basically the geographic location where Microsoft has its data center. So let's focus on India and create a, so let's go to the Central India and deploy our virtual machine inside the Central India. Hit on tags. Tags is basically just to identify. It is just kind of marker. So let's say if you have a lot of items in your trolley, and if you would like to just put a mark like, okay, this is my the clothes which I'm going to wear at night, or this is my clothes which I'm going to wear when I'm swimming. This is my toothbrush. This is my shoes, something like that. So tags are basically you can. It's not mandatory, but Microsoft says since you are going to deploy multiple resources and if you would like to put a mark on them for your identification and convenience, you can use that. But as of now, we don't need that, so we can simply hit create. You will see these tags in enterprise environment. So tags again, I told you it's simply the marker, nothing else. It's just like putting a sticker on your items, like okay, this item belongs to this or this item, just for the easy identification, nothing else. Okay, so app one resource group is created. Go to home. Okay, in this portal, guys, understand this. There is a search option at the top. Whatever you would like to search, you need to use this top search. Sometimes you see people calling it as a global search. So when you are inside Azure portal, you are going to, okay, Shashank, I saw your hand. What's the question, Shashank?
Yeah, just checking some hierarchy levels in Azure. Do you have like an organization account before we do this resource group? Uh, I'm just thinking a use case that if a company has
Mhm.
uh, IT, finance, and if they want to segregate by um, by different
Department.
different departments, then they have within IT they have let's say dev, production, pre-prod. So finance
Mhm.
build their own servers. So this
Yes.
aggregation is start does it start from a resource group or from subscription?
See, if see it entirely depends on your billing mechanism. So, for example, if you have an organization where you have three departments, okay, let's take this example. So, in your organization, you have three departments. One is HR, another one is sales, and another one is, for example, finance, right? So if in your organization there is a kind of structure where every department has to bear the cost, because if you are going to deploy the resources in cloud, the bill will come, right? There is a bill because it is only on hourly basis. So whoever is going to deploy anything you are going to create in the cloud, there is a bill for that. Even no matter how much minimum, but there is a bill for that. So if there is an organization where account or finance has to pay their own cloud bill, uh, uh, HR has to pay their own cloud bill, and for example, marketing has to pay their own cloud bill. Then we have to use the concept of subscription. We can create multiple subscriptions. If you click on the subscription, by default, this is my only one subscription because this is my personal account. So if you have a multiple subscription, if your billing is separate, that's the first category. And let's say this is your one subscription of one department. Inside that department, let's say you have three different environments: the development, the testing, and the production. That segregation you can create it by using the resource. So you can create in one subscription, you can create three resource group, one for the prod, one for the environment, non development, and one for the test. So that is, let's say in your organization, there is no, I mean, it's a very small organization and all the bill is only paid by one person or only all the bills will be paid only by one particular, unit itself. Then you don't need to have a multiple subscription. You can simply go with one subscription. Is it clear, Shashank?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what is the Azure, like Amazon, they got best practice, so we just follow the documentation. Is there any thing like in Azure saying, okay, this is the best practice for medium-sized companies
See,
and
that's what I told you. It's all if you need to first understand the requirement. If you Microsoft is giving you both the options. If you have a billing requirement, subscription is a only logical category which we use for the separate billing, which is in
so
the Microsoft.
so
Yes.
I think if we have a dev account and
Uh,
pre-prod and prod, can we segregate using subscriptions like subscription A, I mean subscription one for dev, subscription two for pre-prod, and subscription three for production? Will it make more
yes,
secure?
yes. See, absolutely, you can do that. There is no challenge that you can design in that way as even if you
Or-
let's say if you do not have a billing billing segregation, right? Let's say the bill is simply going to paid by only one unit, but still if you would like to go with the subscription model, you can create one subscription for your prod environment, one for your non-prod, one for your testing. You can do that. There is no challenge.
So is there any like security thing between resource groups? Um, I know they're physically, different, uh,
uh,
but I'm just thinking when we give a option for these companies, just say I'm a cloud engineer for so and so company, and they do ask me like, okay, we're planning to move to Azure very soon. What will be, let's say they got they need three dev, pre-prod, and prod, and also they got finance servers and the HR servers, like miscellaneous servers, something like that. So what should I propose this solution saying that we have one subscription and have resource groups, or do we create three different subscriptions? Which one do you say?
Okay, if you are talking about that, see, when you are designing your cloud infrastructure first, okay, first thing you need to understand what is their existing infrastructure. Okay, if you ask me, I would let me show you one thing. Maybe that will help. There is a concept of landing zone. Okay. So here Microsoft is going to basically, this is the concept. So you can see here, if I'll expand it to you. Okay. So you see here, here Microsoft says you can, let's say when you have entire infrastructure in front of you, right? So not only the virtual machine you are going to talk about, you also need to install your Active Directory, you also need to install your firewalls and security measures, everything, right? So you can see here, this is how the Microsoft says, this is one sample example which Microsoft is giving, right? So if you would like to read about the best practice, then I can give you this link here. Read about this best practice and you will get to know like what you are going to choose. You can see here they have given identity subscription, management subscription, connectivity subscription. So what how they are segregating is all the connectivity components in one subscription, all the management related components in one subscription, all the authentication related component in one subscription. This is the Microsoft sale. I mean the recommendation, right? Again, it's not fixed and it's not depends on you. You can see here platform landing zones versus application landing. So you can decide your own understanding, but yes, going with the subscription model is pretty better as compared to resource group model, because if you go with the subscription model, it will give you more control and flexibility to organize your resources. Okay, so coming back to this, okay, so we are done with the resource group. So let's, my mouse is little giving me some difficulties, but anyways. So now let's say this is the global search. This is where I was talking about. So let's say if you would like to, because see, when you will log in, you may not see all of these, what I am seeing. So you can simply type virtual machine. You don't need to do or go anywhere. It will come you the virtual machine. You will see the option create here and you will see the option create here. It doesn't matter which way you can go. Once you create, you will see it is giving you a few options: Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Machine with preset configuration and more VMs related solution. As of now, let's not focus here. Simply focus on Azure Virtual Machine because we are not going into that much. Okay. So now we have come into our web page where we are going to provide the information. So subscription is again you need to choose and then resource group. So we have already created our resource group. So it's already coming up here. So app one. Okay. Now, first thing it is asking the name of the virtual machine. So I'm just giving it a VM. Okay. Then we have region, and why it is giving us the central India, because at the time of creation of region resource group app one, we chose the central. It means this VM1 is going to be deployed in the central India region. Again, coming back to this region is our central India, and inside the central India, let's say you see the availability options, availability zone, and there is option called no infrastructure readiness required. So if you choose this no infrastructure readiness, you see the option of availability zone is gone, which means what will happen if I create this VM like this, then it will simply, Microsoft will create it, and based on his understanding or availability, Microsoft will place it into any of these availability zone, into any one of these availability. But I'm not going to know about it. But if I choose, okay, availability zone, then if you click and you see zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. which means I can tell the Microsoft like in which zone I would like to put my virtual machine. Also, look at here, zone 1, zone 2, and zone. I can keep my virtual machine in all three zones. If you remember, yesterday also we talked about if I would like to keep my machine in all three zones, it is also good. If I would like to keep my machine into only two zones, that is also possible. And if I would like to keep my machine in zone 1, that is also possible. But yes, keeping the machine in multiple zones will increase your cost. So that is one thing we need to remember. But yes, it will also give us the high availability in case one zone gone down, then we'll have the option to run our machine from another zone. So for the lab purpose, I'm simply choosing zone 1. Okay. Now the security type, you need to simply choose the standard here. Now the next critical part, there are multiple things we need to, it will come in here, but we are not, looking for every piece of it here because we are only looking to understand the important one. And later we'll talk about the other pieces. So image, you see, image is about the operating system. It is asking us which operating system you would like to install. So if we click on this, you see it is giving us a lot of lists here. Windows Server 2016, Windows 10, CentOS, Ubuntu, SUSE, Red Hat, whatever the operating system you would like, Windows 2022, all this supported. So there is nothing like you can choose from your end. You have to choose from this list itself. So, for example, if I'm choosing the Windows Server 2016 as an operating system, that's it. For the I do not need to install anything. I simply need to choose my operating system, right? Then there is something called VM architecture. So here we have ARM or x64. As of now, let's go with the x64. Okay, this is again a different story. Now, the somebody I remember somebody asked me about that SKU. Okay, so here you see size, right? So if this is called SKU, so let's go to see all sizes. You see here Microsoft is giving us all the possible sizes. And as I told you, SKU is basically the combination of CPU and the RAM, right? Other than that, it has also some other components, but majorly this is the combination. So it is not something I can choose based on my requirement. There is a ratio of what CPU and the RAM which needs to be defined in a proper order. So that is why you do not need to look here. You simply need to look CPU and RAM here. So let's say if I would like 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM, then I can choose this. If I need 4 CPU and 16 GB of RAM, then I can choose this one. Although these are the different generation of the family, I mean, you need to read a lot about all these facts, but that is what I don't want you to get confused with these sizes. Just think about here CPU and RAM for as of now. So whatever our training says, according to the training progress, we should simply as of now look on the CPU and the RAM. Of course, we can go ahead and read about all this because they have basically differences how Microsoft has built it. But even if you don't know, it doesn't matter. What you need to know is the CPU and the RAM, what you need to know. It will expand some other series as well. You will see the 2 and 8 also option is there. 2 and 8 RAM is also option. Again, we have B series. We have multiple series, right? So it's just like if you remember, just like when you purchase a mobile, when you are going to purchase a mobile, they will give you the option. Either you can buy it 6 GB RAM or 64 GB of storage, or you can 8 GB RAM with 128 GB of storage, something like that. So that is basically the set or the bundle they have already created. So for this, let's say choose any one. So for example, if I choose, let's say this, right? So I'm going to get 2 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. And it is also giving me the cost per month. So this machine, if I keep this machine running for entire month, Microsoft is going to charge me 10,196 for the entire month. But if I'll create and delete it, then it will not charge me anything. So please, this is again an important thing to know, guys. Do not create any resource inside the cloud and leave as it is. If you're creating it, please remember to delete it as well. Otherwise, Microsoft will not stop charging. Okay. So remember, now it is just the ID and password which I need to provide in order to enter into my machine. So I can provide any ID and password. And remember, whatever the ID and password you are giving, you need to remember it. Otherwise, it will be a problem. So VM admin is a name. I mean, it's not something VM admin. You can type any name, your name, anything as a user ID, and then the password. But make sure to keep it in your mind. Okay. Then, as of now, I'm not talking about all these things. The next component is disk. You see, OS disk size. By default, it is 127 GB. So I cannot go less than 127 GB because that is my default size. But in future, or even if now I would like to increase, then I can increase. There is no problem. Okay, so 127 GB is something which by default I'm going to get. But if let's say in future I need some more space for my operating system disk, I can choose that. Okay. Then delete with VM. These are the things we don't need to worry about. And yes, here create and attach a new disk. So if I go back to my disk, this is the data disk. So even if I don't create here, as I told you, this is not mandatory option. But if you need additional disk space, you can use this option. So I'm not choosing that. Let's go to the networking. And networking part we have not started yet. So as of now, do not worry about this part. When we will start our networking part, which is our next class as well. So we'll talk about everything: virtual network, subnet, public, everything. We'll talk cover in the networking. Okay, so as of now, I'm not changing anything. Then see. Okay, so again, let's go back to this. Till now, we have selected our ability zone. We have selected our CPU and RAM, which is SKU. Okay, I hope somebody has asked me about the SKU. Is that clear? Who has Kashif? Do we have Kashif? Kashif, the concept of the SKU is clear for you? Okay, Kashif is on mute. I'm not sure if he can hear me or not. But anyways, if you have any again doubts, then you can connect with me. You can ask again. Okay, then we have this choose our OS disk, and now we have chosen our NIC or IP address as well. So NIC is something we don't need to choose here. It will come here. Then you can see it is simply going to create a NIC by default for us. We don't have to choose anything for the NIC. Okay, hit on next. Do not think about anything, just hit on next because we are simply going to create a virtual machine with only mandatory option. There are a lot of piece of information, but we are not as of now thinking. Okay. Now you see, it is going to cost me 13.9677 INR per hour. So if I create this machine right now, then it will charge me 13.96 rupees for an hour. Even if I'm going to delete in next 10 minutes, it will cost me that much. Even if I'm going to delete in next 30 minutes, it will cost me that. And the moment 1 hour will complete it and the 1 hour, 1 minute start, then again it will charge me for another hour. So as of now, just hit on create because I need to show you guys how we can log in as well. Okay. So when we hit on create, the deployment is in progress. You see Microsoft is creating everything for us. You see it's VNet, IP, everything. What are the components it is going? You see the network interface Microsoft has created for us. Public IP address Microsoft has created for us. And you see the deployment is completed. So this much quick time it takes only to create a virtual machine. Go to resource. If you go to resource, then you will find your machine is running. And this is your control panel to manage your machine. If you would like to stop your machine, you can stop it. If you would like to restart your machine, you can restart it. The start is grayed out because it is running already. The status is running. Once it will stop it, then it will be able to start as well. It is showing, okay, you have deployed a machine in Central India Zone 1. Okay, this is your public IP address. This is your operating system. Okay, so all important key details related to your machines, you can view it. Now, let's say if somebody go to home, and now again, if you will type on virtual machines, you will see a machine running here as well. And this is the IP address I was talking about, 10.0.0.4. There are two IP address, private and public. So we'll talk about the private and public IP address later when we'll start our networking module. But as of now, just think of it as IP address. Okay. So anything which you would like to see about your virtual machine, you can see it from this. This is your VM1. These are all the components here related to the virtual machine. You have to simply explore. Yes, you can see the virtual CPU I'm getting 2, RAM I'm getting 8 GB. So this is how the disk size, if you see here. So if you will come in the left panel and if you simply search the disk, then you can also see the detail of your disk. You see, this is the disk and 127 GB of disk I got. Right? Now let's go and log in into that machine and see how we can log in. So as of now, I'm using the public IP address, but this is not the recommended way. In order to log in into this machine, I need to simply type remote desktop connection. It will open a small window like this, where you can have to simply enter the IP address of your machine, paste it here, and hit on then the same user ID or password which we have given at the time of creation, we need to enter that. And it will ask return yes. You can see you can access it. I do not have, this is my machine. So if I'll go into this disk size also, I'll explain to you. It's starting, so it takes some time to set up some initial configuration. Okay. If we'll go to this PC, you see 117 GB free of 126 GB. As I told you, some part of the disk is going to be used by and occupied by the operating system, which is already there. So somewhere around 11 GB is already occupied with this operating system, and rest 117 GB is free for us to use. If you need more data, you can use that. This is a temporary storage. So this is something, if you keep anything inside this temporary storage, it will go away the moment you will restart your machine. Do not use, I mean, it is there. It's just a complementary storage given by the Azure, but do not use this. Anyways, so concept of virtual machine creation is clear to you guys, everyone?
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Okay. So this is just the basic one. Okay. There are a lot of things we need to understand. There are a lot of things we need to, learn. We need to learn how to, connect different kind of dots here. But this is just the beginning. So that is why I just explained to you, because once you understand this concept, then based on this particular concept, we are going to deploy in later sessions, we are going to deploy complex infrastructures as well. We have not introduced and talked about anything related to the network, which we are going to talk and about the network in coming sessions, where we have a lot of complex infrastructure in this. So we need to fill that learn that as well. So in this till this whatever we have talked about, anybody has any question, anybody has any query, or if you would like me to explain something again, then let me know.
Manish, it won't be charges anything for right creating any VMs for free trial period.
Yes. In free trial period, you will get $200. So let's say if you have created a virtual machine and if you keep it running, then till the time this machine's bill reaches to the $200, it will not charge anything in the free tier. But the moment it will touch the $200, the Microsoft will stop your VM by itself. and your free value will also get over. And after that, Microsoft will ask you to convert your free tier to pay as you go. Right now, if you are in your free tier, your subscription will look like free tier. Shashank or Niranjan, I think you have created your free tier, right?
Yes, I have created. Yes, I have created.
Can you share the screen quickly so that everyone can see how free tier looks like?
You have to give
If
me
it's
access
possible.
for that.
Okay. It's again a challenge because I don't have access. Let me see if I can give you the access. So Niranjan, I gave you the access. Can you
Okay,
try now?
sure. Let me check. So this is the account. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Uh, okay, wait a minute. I'm not able to see this. Yeah, now I can see. Yes. So everyone, please have a look. This is the account. Go to the subscription, Niranjan. Okay, so why is it not giving you the subscription? Can I click on add?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Do one thing. Uh, Yeah, I think you have not started your. You simply okay. Click on start free. I mean, or maybe you can do it later as well. So once you have to initialize your subscription also first. Okay.
Okay. Can I click on
So
start free?
yes, you can. You see, get $200, and you need to maybe uh, sign up or sign in something. So did it ask you to enter your credit card details?
No, it didn't ask me.
Okay, so it basically then your free tier subscription has not been created. You need to log in, and I believe you need to enter your card details. Then only it will ask. It will give you the subscription of the free tier subscription.
For me, that's my card details. Verify.
Sorry, is it
Uh,
Shashank who was that?
Yeah, Shashank. It asked,
Yeah,
for me, it asked me the card details actually.
yes, see, yes. So once you see here, Niranjan, you need to basically fill the form and details. Then it will give you. So Shashank, can you? So did you provided that card detail?
Yeah, I did
uh,
provide.
Okay, Geeta, you also provided that card detail.
yes, Manish.
Okay. So any of you can share your screen if you have. So because we can quickly have a look on the free tier. Niranjan, if possible, can you make the presenter Shashank or Geeta, any one of them presenter?
Yeah,
And
Manish,
I
you
think,
give me the permission to share the screen.
yeah, actually the permission is with Niranjan, I believe.
Yeah, I've given that
Okay,
permission.
Geeta, you. Okay, Geeta is the presenter now.
Is it visible?
Yes, I can see. Now
Yeah.
go to the subscription. Type subscription at the top, Geeta. First, in the top
Where
box.
it is?
In the top search box, the search box in the middle.
Okay.
This was service.
Yes, yes. Just type subscription. Okay, you see here Azure subscription one, and the current cost is it will show something. See, okay, so not available and status is active. Can I click on it? Azure subscription one. They have changed it. Earlier, they used to call it this Azure subscription one as a free tier subscription, but it doesn't matter. You see, the status is active and there is something.
Yeah, here it's showing your
Yes, US for free today and which will expire in 2 days. So that is your free tier subscription. So you can have only one free tier subscription under your account, I mean under your ID. So if you need after 30 days, if you have to use any other subscription, then you have to change it to pay as you go. If you as you've seen in my case. Okay,
uh,
so I think
while
yeah,
while creating it showing 12 months free subscription, right? So, but it will
yeah.
expire this one
Actually,
in the 30 days.
see, 12 months free is for the some basic services. So there are few basic services which is completely free for 30 days, but services like creation of virtual machine and other which are basically charged basis. That is not free.
Okay.
So 12 month is nothing, but it's simply a kind of marketing,
Ye-
advertisement.
Okay, okay, got it.
So we have only this 1 month, 30 days. Initial, I mean,
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago, they used to provide us this $200 for entire 1 year,
Okay.
but now they have reduced it to 30 days only.
Have
Okay, guys. So I think, yeah, Sashank, saying something?
Yeah, I got one question for you. So
Yeah.
let's say you got a scenario that there were a few subscriptions and you want to bring them back to your account. So is that possible? Can we bring
Okay,
back?
you are saying like I have for example, two subscription in my account, and you would like to bring it in your account.
So let's say this is the use case.
Uh,
We actually bought, let's say a company A bought company B, okay?
uh-huh.
And company B has like maybe six subscriptions, okay?
Mhm,
And company A wants to merge all the subscriptions into one account to make their admin easy. So is that
mhm.
possible? You can migrate a subscription from company B to company A?
No, my subscription is something you cannot migrate. You can migrate the resources within that subscription.
So
So
you mean resource
let
groups?
me, not the resource. Yeah, let me show you how it is going to work. Can anybody make me presenter so I can quickly share it on the screen? I think Geeta, the rights with you. Okay. Can you make me presenter?
Uh, how can I?
Okay, there must be some three standing dots somewhere in your screen in your GoToMeeting panel.
uh, repetition.
There will be three dot on Manish icon.
Yeah, name. You need to go to the thumbnail or tile of my name.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, okay. So here, what was I saying? Shashank, right?
Yes.
Okay. So first thing, you cannot, move subscription from one account to another account. That's the first thing. Second thing, which I was going to show you is you can move the resources. Let me
But resources doesn't make any sense, right? Because you'll have like thousands of resources.
No, then in that case, you can do the peering between your organization. There are a lot of options. So let's say if I have my account and you have your account, right? And if I would like to, if our company has started business together, right? In that case, I can have option to have established the communication from my Azure tenant to your Azure tenant. That is called cross tenant peering. So there is a concept
I got
in the
Yeah, the reason my use case is really business reasons, not having a connectivity or something.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You cannot migrate your subscription. You have to go with the this resource migration.
Okay, so can we migrate resource group at least to different subscriptions?
Yes, we can. That's what I was trying to show you. Just if it is option, because yes, you see, we are in the resource group here, app on. You see,
Yeah.
move to another. So you can do it.
Oh,
But let me warn you, this subscription is something you can start on your own, but it will completed by Microsoft only. and they are going to take a lot of time. I have done this in one of my previous projects, right? So please be aware, like in your hand, you can only start or initiate this process. But how long it is going to take or when it will be completed, it's not in your hand. It may be 1 day, 2 day. It entirely depends on availability. So, for example, if you are moving this to another subscription, just I'm telling you, right? So, if you go to the another subscription and let's say if your another subscription does not have the capacity, for example, if let's say in this region or in this subscription you have your 1024. If you would like to move to another subscription and that capacity is not available, then that moment is not going to. So there are n number of factors in this subscription as well. So that is why it is always wise to go to use the small chunk of resource to move first thing. Second thing, if possible, then it is better to have a connectivity instead of subscription migration.
So it's not straightforward as in AWS, right? AWS has
It's
you
no,
can just
no,
you
no,
can
it's
just
not like AWS. No, no, it's not like AWS. There are certain areas where Microsoft is not as capable as.
right. Okay.
Okay, guys, I have another call as well, and I need to wrap it up because we are already extending our time by 30 minutes. So we can, if anybody has any question, then it's fine. Otherwise, we can take the questions tomorrow. Is it okay with you guys?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks everyone for your time. Let's see you. I think on Monday, right? Not tomorrow. So we'll connect on
Yeah.
Monday. Ciao. Have a nice day. Bye. I mean,
Okay,
have a nice
thank you.
time.
Bye.